Take this. They're looking for you.
Welcome back everyone, Meanpooh here with a game that almost everyone has heard of, Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus. For those not in the know, it is an action-adventure first-person shooter developed by Machine Games and published by Bethesda Softworks. It was released on October 27th, 2017. To progress through the story, you will battle enemies throughout many levels. The game utilizes a health system in which your health is divided into separate sections that regenerate. If an entire section is lost, you must use a health pack to replenish the missing health. You will use melee attacks, firearms, and explosives to fight enemies, and may run, jump, and occasionally swim to navigate through the locations. Melee attacks can be used to silently take down enemies without being detected. Alternatively, you can ambush enemies, which will often result in an intense firefight between the two parties. Enemy commanders can call for reinforcements several times, so try to stop them at first if you can. A cover system can be used in combat as assistance against enemies. Players have the ability to lean around, over, and under cover, which can be used as a tactical advantage during shootouts and stealth levels. There are a wide variety of weapon options. They can be found on the ground, retrieved from dead enemies, or removed from their stationary position and carried around. Weapon ammunition must be manually retrieved from the ground or from dead enemies. You have access to weapon inventory, which allows your character to carry as many weapons as you can find. You have the ability to freely mix weapons for dual wielding, sometimes giving you an advantage over your enemies by dealing twice as much damage. Now here comes the weird part. I started the game and immediately I noticed that the Afterburner was reporting 120 FPS. This couldn't be right, so I checked to make sure that it was not running at 720p. Sure enough, it wasn't. I then made sure that the graphics settings was not set to the lowest. Check, it wasn't. They were set at the highest. Mein Leben, or Mein Leben, or Mein Leben. I can't pronounce this word. Mein Leben? Let's call it Mein Leben. That is higher than Uber. I was having trouble with that high setting, so I looked it up, and it's German for my life. And it's the title of several German autobiographies. Anyway, I tried to change, I'm sorry I'm laughing, but I tried to change everything with little effect, resolutions included. At the beginning of the video, I changed the setting from highest graphical settings to the lowest and back again. On the lowest setting, there was barely anything that changed, and it has a little flickering, that's all. It looked damn near identical. So being happy and frustrated at the same time, I took to the net to find some answers. I found websites with pictures showing what the results were after changing graphical settings, but that did not help much. My final stop was on a YouTube page by DigitalFoundry. Take a listen.
Hey everyone, Richard from DigitalFoundry here. Okay, so recently id Software released the long-awaited Doom patch that introduces support for the Vulkan API. Now this is essentially OpenGL's answer to DX12, offering many of the same advantages, and it's evolved from AMD's work on Meanpooh, which laid the foundations for many of the features seen in the latest generation of graphics APIs. Now we've got a big bunch of AMD and NVIDIA GPUs we wanted to test here, but there's a problem. Our video analyses are put together using FCAT. Now, what's that, you might ask? Well, check this out. It's a coloured border overlay on the left there that marks up every single frame output by the GPU. Now, from our perspective, it is the preferred way of benchmarking because measurements are based entirely on the frames output by your system. No internal metrics are used here at all. Effectively, what you see is what you get. FCAT injectors are available for OpenGL, DX11 and DX12, but unfortunately not for Vulkan, meaning we have to stick with id's own overlay metrics here. It's not ideal to be honest, but it can give us a basic view of performance increases. So here's our approach. What you're seeing here is a very quick run through of a section of the first level in Doom. We pause at 3 locations and then we carry on with a short repeatable piece of gameplay. At the end of this run, after we chainsaw a demon here, we pause the capture and check out the average CPU metric seen here. This gives us a look at CPU time across the run, and generally speaking, the lower it is, the better. Now we'd love to use that GPU metric as well, it would be really useful, but unfortunately under OpenGL it's broken on AMD cards, as you can see here. Kinda weird, huh? So let's take a look at the settings we're using for our tests here. Basically, we're at 1440p resolution and we are running our Ultra settings. First up.
After listening to that, it gave me a little bit more insight on what's going on. The game is using the Vulkan instead of the DirectX API. Maybe that's why my settings do not apply. I'm not going to complain because, as you can see, the Afterburner is reporting around 120 most of the time, which on the internal benchmark of the Wolfenstein is reporting 60. Later in the gameplay, I see that the FPS dropped on the internal benchmark to the 40s at times, while the Afterburner is reporting similar drop, which was in the 90s. Even with that drop, the game was moving fluidly. GPU temps stayed in the mid 60s, and the CPU temps were in the 70 to 85 degrees Celsius range. Too bad more games can't use this technology. I will continue my research and compare my machine with others. I did run this game on the MacBook Pro with the Radeon 460 and it fared very well. How did this game work for you? Are you getting similar results? Let myself and others know in the comments section. I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you in the next game. Meanpooh out.
Shoot good, Max! Smile!
Vergib mir, Mutter. Ich habe gestern ein kleines Stück Kuchen gegessen, nur ein ganz kleines...
Dumme Kuh! Slum admire you. The filthy dregs. Festering in the ghetto.
Don't do it, girl!
Sagst du!
Ich kann nicht, Mutter.
Mach schon!
Nein! Ich kann das nicht!
Und dann... Oh!
Nein! Mister!
Let's go! Get up!
Das ist mein Tagebuch! Nicht deins!
Controller bay.
our people? I hate to ask. Will you stick around? So I can keep your wings a little longer.